We're live, so we'll just call it to order. Okay. Okay, so I will do a roll call here. And, oh yeah.
No, there you go.
Yeah, it's really hard to turn on. Okay, so trustee Belt,
Here.
trustee Gergen,
Here.
and then member Phillips,
Here,
and then member Cheryl Mance and plan commissioner Teresa Hoff are excused. Okay, so we'll go from there. Oh, yes. Should I read the citizen comments if you would like? They are on here.
Sure. Yeah.
Okay,
Go
so
for it.
I'll go over how Jeff does it. Okay, so item 2, citizen comments. This is an opportunity for citizens to share their opinions with board members on any topic they choose. However, due to Wisconsin open meeting laws, the board is not able to answer questions or respond to your comments. All comments should be directed to the board. Comments are limited to 3 minutes per speaker. Speakers are asked to use the podium and state their name and address. So are there any citizen comments? Okay, so we'll close that and we'll go to 3, presentation, discussion, consultation by Pastor Florin for the installation, design of an interior elevator located at Agape Community Church, 449 West Wisconsin Avenue, PWV 0893013002. All right, so you could probably start. I think I have the mic on, so you should be good.
Well, thanks for meeting with us. I appreciate it. I have along with me our architect, Dick Stelt, and he's been instrumental for the last 3 years to get us to where we are now. I mean, I don't know how you feel, but 3 years ago, we were in a place where you walked through the building, and when we returned, we cried because the building was in such disrepair, not being winterized. So we understood that. We've done so much work of restoration. There was, so now we have full occupancy, upstairs, downstairs. And please come by if you have not had a chance to actually see what it is and how it's transformed. Please come by. I strongly welcome you. So what did we do? Well, we tried to to keep in line with, honestly, with our theology. We believe in restoration. So we found cut-up pews in the building. We took those cut-up pews, and instead of doing a big bonfire, we ended up making it into artwork, into wall artwork. So there's this incredible shiplap that is both upstairs and downstairs that you can point to and say, this white oak has been here longer than any of us have been alive. So that's one thing. If you're familiar with the building, there was a big giant ladder that went up to the attic of the building. Believe it or not, there is an attic above the sanctuary where I can actually stand up and not touch the ceiling. It's that big. So in that, there was a giant ladder going up there, and it was made out of single pieces of 2x6-ish, I think, planks. They were 18 feet long. So imagine old growth, 18 feet long planks, or studs, or whatever it is. Well, that's exactly what we did. We took that down because it was beginning to not be useful anymore. So we put a proper ladder up there. But then the question is, what do we do with these studs? And I told the contractors, these studs have been here longer than you and I have been alive. They need to remain here. So what we ended up doing with these studs, or with these things, is made them in our bathrooms downstairs. So behind the wall, it's the ladder. It's the studs. So this kind of reuse, restoration, it's been all over the place. As a matter of fact, as I was looking at the building, I'm reminded of how much went into it. And you read the history, started as a wooden structure. Then they built a stone structure, 1868. Then they built a tower, 1888. And then they dug the basement and put the annex in, 1930 something, 1937 to 1942. And then after that, there's, in between, coal bins were in place and new chimneys put in place. We actually, in the restoration, discovered the old chimneys where they used to be. And you walk around on the outside, you'll see that we actually have some wood stoves, cast iron wood stoves on the outside of the building that we've restored, repainted to remind people that, there used to be a wood stove here. So again, we're trying to be as respectful towards the building as possible. So now that we have the occupancy, we are ready to put in a lift. And this is something that we've identified even in the first day when we purchased it. I was talking to President Jeff, and I said, no, we need to put a lift in here to get people in. I know we're grandfathered in. I know that we don't have to, but we want to because I think it's important that every person has access to both the upstairs and the downstairs. I was before the board not that long ago to advocate for a patio that would allow us to bring individuals from the ground level into the sanctuary level. We have that now. And people can do that, but they still cannot go into the basement. So that's what we are here for. And I've asked Dick to come along because he can explain what this thing is, what it looks like, and I'm hoping that he'll come up here right after me here to explain to you what this thing is. I see that you have one here inside the building, so it's sort of like that, and that's about all I can understand at the moment. But I will get educated, I promise you, on all the intricacies of what this thing will be. In regards to where to place it, it's been on the plans from day one. If you're familiar with the building, it's in almost like a nook area. It's right by the parking, and it's between the buildings that were built. It's in front of the building that was built in 1937, 1942. So in front of the annex, in front of the chapel. So that's the general location. So that's really what I wanted to sort of lay the groundwork in terms of what we're asking for. And then if you want to describe exactly what this thing is, that would be fantastic.
First of all, do you have any questions after what you just heard from the pastor?
No.
I would, just for a point of clarity, all of this is happening inside the building? No.
I mean, everything that has happened so far has been primarily inside the building. The bathrooms that have been updated inside the building. The patio is outside, but it has no impact on the look of the building, the architectural, the aesthetics, or anything like that. And this will be today. What we're talking about does have an impact on the exterior of the building. But all the past 3 years of restorations and renovations and improvements have been inside the building with my scrutiny as to whether or not these things are going to be a current code problem or not in terms of what they want to do. And about 3 years ago, when I was first introduced to what this building was comprised of, I've kept in mind over these years where a lift would be strategically located that would comply with the current ADA codes and Wisconsin's version of ADA. And therefore, I've kept that in mind for all of the work that they did, and also keeping in mind what made the most sense of where it could be for all of the little intricate levels that I was to find within that building. And so inside, along with, really making some code-worthy improvements and functional improvements for things like plumbing and HVAC and electric. We've kept in mind, and I asked Florin before we came here, if anything over the 3 years come about that we might rethink the location of where we had positioned this lift. Now, you folks know what a lift is because you have one. Many people don't really know. They might assume that we're talking an elevator that could house everybody in this room right now. But it is just a lift, as practical, as unassuming as that we can do to allow a person who might be disabled, whether it be wheelchair or otherwise, to come into this building, because it wasn't a big priority back in the 1900s. And today, it's a huge priority. I've been in practice now 48 years, and what we do to many a building all has to do with how much we need to do to that building in terms of its cost to renovate it, to bring it up to the standards of the current ADA requirement. I'll keep saying ADA, even though in Wisconsin we have another little layer up from ADA. So, the location of the lift is located in such a way that when you enter it from the parking lot, which you'll be able to do where we're talking about, and then get you to whichever level that you want to get to within the building, that will not involve having you have to go outside. Okay, and so this will be a lift, or you might think of a tri-level home. You'll enter into the mid-level, and when you'll either be able to go up or down. Presently, somebody in a wheelchair or seriously disabled cannot do that. And we're thankful, because of the nature of this building, that they allowed us to have occupancy through the state and through the local plan review people to occupy the building without having that ability to do that, to go from one level to the next, and to also get to the parking lot. And that's where it's presently located on a sketch, if you have them handy. So that's all well and good information, but in my years of brushing, I'm registered in about 28 states, so I can tell you the horror stories from the bureaucracy that I've encountered in 28 states if you want to hear it. But I know that every body like this may have different priorities. And while we don't come here with a specific solution, we have a general idea. What we really, really would like your input on is whether or not, given the nature of this building and where you see the location that we've earmarked for where this lift may be, whether or not you're going to allow that alteration to the exterior at all. Okay? And even knowing its purpose, there's no sense going on if we're going to fight on that issue or have a conflict of having you say you cannot impact the exterior of this building anywhere 360 degrees around it or not. And that's really what I'm here for today. That's why I've accompanied Florin, to find out whether or not, given the right architectural solution to where you see it located, that you'll entertain it and allow it.
Can you help me on here? Where exactly?
You put your finger right on it.
It was
I
right
don't-
there?
Yeah, but that's not one of the preliminary drawings that showed it there, but you got it right there. That's where it will be.
Okay,
Okay, that's where and from that location,
but this is currently a
where you can,
entryway, like a doorway.
yeah, you can go in and then there's a ramp here
Yeah.
that a wheelchair specifically designed ramp
Yeah,
can get you to this location, and then this
this little
lift,
box right there.
it's outside the building.
Yeah,
It'll be right there.
yeah,
Okay, and then that location will also let you go down to the lower level,
yeah.
okay? Which is much easier. So,
If you see it here, it's labeled as future lift.
Oh, future look, okay, that's helpful.
okay,
So
Yeah,
this is the old drawing of where it used to look like. This is
Yeah.
what it looks like now.
yeah.
And when we did the drawings, we identified the future lift exactly there.
Yeah, that was where I thought it was.
okay.
From what I remember.
Well, you thought right.
So, I mean, like initially, what does everyone think? Does anyone, I don't have a problem with this.
I have no problem. I think
So-
the things that you have done with the church are fantastic. You should be so proud of yourselves and what you have done to is save this building. It is appreciated by the community, and the fact that you are looking to make this accessible is just kudos to you. I have no problem with it. I appreciate all of the care that you have put into the thought of how this works. It seems like it would be very efficient to me.
Is your name Heather?
Yes.
I'm just checking.
Yeah.
Well, Heather, that's good to hear. And are you a member of this quorum? Or
I
one of
Those three are, yes.
Yes.
You two are not.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, if you speak for your committee, then what our job will be, well, we might have one other point of conversation here today that we can go over. I'm just going to make the assumption that most of you can either see this church from the street or you've actually gone into their parking lot and looked at it a little closer. But what Florida was talking about was that this building was a kingdom work for a long time.
Yes.
Can I pause you for a second? Because I would like to hear what Jeff's point. I just don't want us to get too far.
No. Yeah.
I'm sorry, what?
I mean, what's your take overall?
Oh,
Heather and I have
am
expressed.
in favor of this concept, and I have been involved the last, since this has started, speaking to groups that you can't even think of, trying to explain what the historical significance of this building is and will be, and also the legalities of historic status, which I'm assuming you're not going for, because you'll be working on that for the next 20 years.
You and other experts have said the exact same thing to us. And what we are doing, we are operating in the spirit of, without the paper.
Yes, and I see this kind of addition is no different than if you had to replace the furnace or put a new window in, put a new roof on. It all still fits, as long done correctly, excuse me, into the historic importance of that building.
Yeah.
Well, over the years, and there are many of them, the progress of that building as we see it today, you can see things that were done initially and then progressing through the years. They're done with a little bit different materials, even though when you stand back, it looks like a pretty well thought out whole. But there are some differences. More than likely that through the years they had no choice but to use different materials, similar but not identical. And so that would be our hope, that what we can present to you, well, it might be 2024, we'll be respectful of what we bring in front of you to look at in terms of how we're going to enclose this lift without, and you can see where it's located. And even if we were really irrespectful of the building, this lift is going to hardly impact anybody from looking at it from wherever. You're going to have to actually be driven up. And still we'll probably try to make it look like it belongs there. And it does not detract from the historical nature of that building. And so I'm looking for a little guidance on, which you've already given me, on the fact that you will allow a little addition for this lift, and the reasons for its purpose, and then we'll come to you with a design that we think you'll agree with, because I've already passed it in front of Lauren and the congregation to make sure that they're happy with it too. And therein lies the process that we might go forward in the future. You may or may not be aware of the fact that we wound up having our plans for all of the renovations go through the review at the city of Pewaukee. The concepts were probably run by you here, but really the final approval, the plan approval was, and we'll probably have to go through that same process. And but I don't want to go through them only to find out that you folks have so we're starting with you.
Yeah, for them, I believe that's more the building inspector.
Just for building permits and things like that.
Yeah, and I think aesthetically, you're going to be working as closely as you can in order to keep the look of the church. I trust your members wouldn't allow anything else, so.
I don't think I would know anything.
Yeah.
I don't think you would either, so, especially after you've taken such care with everything else, so I feel very comfortable with it.
All right. Now,
Are there any particular thoughts or requirements or ideas that you might have from a restoration perspective in terms of anything at all that, like, hey, it would be, let me give you an example. I know for a fact that one of the windows that was taken out can never be put back in the same place because that place was taken out by HVAC. So we have all the windows that are built the same except one. It's a little wider and it doesn't belong anywhere. I was talking to Dick, I said, hey, what if?
Could you incorporate it
Yeah.
into this? Those types of things are fantastic. You know, I love all of your repurposing that you're doing. It's extremely creative.
All that I'm looking for from today's response is that, number one, you've already answered, and number two, you wouldn't come back with something like, when you see our presentation of what we suggest, that you would say, and this may sound like you would never say it, but it gets said, you didn't find stone from 1850, okay? Because I run into that, okay? And
Well-
so you didn't find paint from 1850. Okay, and we wouldn't want that kind of paint because it might be leaded. And so there's a number of reasons that we'll look at for the materials that we bring forward. But in talking about this in general, while we want this to be very compatible with this building, it may well be that we say, hey, this was done in 2024. Because Lauren's going to have dates of everything that has gone on, to as best as their research can provide, and when the basement was done, and when the original building was done. And that's a powerful way to influence the people in that congregation, or who even walk in that door, that you were sensitive to all of what went on before and where you are today. And the fact that in 2024, it's a big deal to look at the ability for the handicap to get in and out of that building.
So I think based just on that comment, I speak for myself. I think it's great that you want to add that accessibility. So I believe, and we can't say for certain without seeing final plans. I can't say, yes, we're going to approve whatever you bring without seeing it. But I think we can give you confidence with, we've seen what you have done. Obviously, you like the historical nature of the church and you've been preserving that. We also are going to understand that there's potential limitations to that and what is really the greater good. Okay, you have to use modern brick versus old stone so you can get a lift in. I'm not going to have an issue with that. I speak for myself, obviously. There's only so much you can do. You're trying to enhance the building so more people can enjoy it. I'm never going to say no to that.
Yeah, I
So-
think we all understand limitations, and you're doing this in the spirit, as you had mentioned, rather than trying to get the historical. So I don't think it's going to be an issue, and I think you're going to, keep aesthetics in
Yes.
mind.
And again, I concur too. It's just, I apologize for my cough. I don't think I can complete a sentence anymore. But I concur. I think you've done an excellent job, and your due diligence is to be commended.
So, yeah, like Dick said, we're planning to put dates of when the room was built on all the walls, so that you can actually walk into a room and say, oh, 1937, whatever it was.
Yeah.
So, and then with this new structure, it'll say 24 or 25, depending on when we get the funds, right?
And who knows what the Lord has in store for it in more of the future, but because it may well be that 20 years from now, we'll be looking back on the lift that was put in. What was our architect thinking? When he put them. But those are the things that happen. We wonder how it could have been designed where you can't get from the downstairs to the upstairs without in the main auditorium and going outside. But yeah, so those are the things that we're looking at. And who would we talk to in terms of when we do bring a solution to the table? Would we then need a quorum?
Yeah.
Yes, if we're taking action, we would, yeah. And we need at least, I think it's 5 days before the meeting to post the agenda. But I also have to make sure everybody's schedule works for the meeting too. So I'd have to do probably one of those doodle polls again and make sure a date works best for everybody.
What I plan to do is I'll work with you guys. Once we have some ideas,
Yep.
some options, I'll work with you guys, we'll schedule something out that works for everyone else.
Yep.
Then we'll come back and say, okay, based on Elvin research and what we've heard, this is what we plan to do. And then we can, render it and send some with drawings that they can put together.
Yeah, okay.
The way, do you also, besides your committee, do we need to go through a village planning commission as well?
That would be a good question.
I'd have to check the ordinances, to be
Yeah.
honest. We'll have to check into that.
Okay, you'll check into that. But, and so,
If it's
should there be a
outside,
conflict
it
between the two
might.
bodies is
Yeah.
our worst nightmare. So
Yeah,
when we ultimately have these plans ready to go for building permit, there more than likely won't be anything said about the aesthetics, because they'll know that we've been through this process. Okay, at least from the fellow that I remember who reviewed our plans for the renovations that have been done. So that's all we're looking for is to make sure that we go through the right committee at the right time along the way, and then we'll be. I won't be in a position where I've misled the congregation.
right. Yeah, we'll check our ordinance.
Any questions?
No?
No, thank you again for all the work that you've done.
So, Matt or Jenna, are one of the two of you gonna let me know about the planning commission?
Yeah, we'll look up the ordinance, see if it needs to go. I don't know if it'll need a CUG or just consultation again. I don't think we need a consultation again, though. So we'll have to check on that.
Yeah, we'll have to look at
Yeah.
the zoning code.
No, I
But-
appreciate that.
yeah.
And we are going in the same direction that we've gone through for the last 3 years. We had planned the bathrooms in light of this lift. We planned pretty much everything, the parking structure in light of this lift, including where we put the handicap parking. So everything that we've done up to this point has been in light of this location, so that we're still within that, not changing.
Sure, okay, yeah. Just since it's outside, yeah, if it was interior, I don't think we would need plan commission, but if it's gonna affect the outside of the building, it might.
Let's
But
make
we're gonna
sure,
check on that,
Like they said,
yeah.
with the restoration, we've done everything for the book. I want to do this.
Right, yep,
It was kind of a little master plan that we had, and only eventually get to this point, and here we are.
right, yeah, okay, sure,
And I appreciate your time.
yeah.
Thank you.
You guys
Yeah, anything else? Okay, should we adjourn?
adjourn?
Okay, I'm gonna put down adjourned at 3:39.
Yay.
All right.
Thank you.
Yes.